The power bill's due. That was the whole text. No hello. No, Huda, are you okay? No mention of the 4 weeks I had not answered family calls, stopped visiting, and stopped transferring money into accounts that were not mine. I stood in the clinic break room at 11:42 p.m., still in my scrubs, staring at my mother's message while the microwave hummed beside me. For 7 years that sentence would have worked. I would have opened the bill, paid it, sent the confirmation screenshot, maybe added "tell Baba not to worry." But that night my thumb did not move toward the payment app. It moved toward the message box. And for the first time in my life, I typed exactly what I meant. Ask Lena, it's her house now. Then my phone started ringing. I watched Mom flash across the screen until it stopped. And I did not answer. 4 weeks earlier I had gone to my parents' house after my father called and said the water bill had disappeared again. That was always how they phrased things. Bills disappeared, repairs appeared, emergencies happened, and somehow every problem landed in my inbox with my card attached. I did not live there anymore. I had moved out at 24 into a 1-bedroom apartment with thin walls and a stove that only worked on 2 burners, but my parents' house still owned parts of my paycheck: electricity, water, property tax installments, home insurance, plumbing repairs, groceries when my mother said prices were getting impossible, medical copays when my father sounded tired. Even their streaming subscriptions, because Baba once sighed and said, "You know how your mother gets when things are shut off." Lena lived there. My younger sister was 28, rent-free in the upstairs bedroom, with candles burning in the bathroom I paid to repair and friends laughing in the kitchen I helped restock. When her car broke down, my mother said, "She needs it for work." I paid half the repair. When I asked Lena about paying me back, she smiled and said, "You're so dramatic, Huda." That afternoon, while looking for the missing water bill, I opened the kitchen drawer under the prayer calendar and found a folded envelope with my father's name on it. Inside was their updated will. The house went to Lena. The savings account went to Lena. The small rental unit Baba had spent 20 years paying off went to Lena. My mother's jewelry went to Lena, including the antique gold bangles my grandmother once slid over my wrist and whispered, "One day, these will be yours." My name was not there. Not once. Then I read the sentence beneath Lena's name. "Our daughter Lena Rahman, who will remain responsible for our care." I stood in that kitchen, holding paper that called my sister responsible in the house I had been quietly funding for 7 years. So I did not scream. I did not confront them. I went home, opened every auto payment connected to their household, and removed my card. Now 4 weeks later, my mother had finally noticed. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my father. My father's voicemail came at 8:16 the next morning. "Huda," he said, his voice low like he was calling from another room. "Your mother is very upset. She did not sleep. She says her chest feels tight. Come home after work, please, just come and talk." I listened to it twice in the parking lot of the clinic. Not because I did not understand it. Because I understood it too well. My mother's chest, my father's tired voice, the word home placed exactly where guilt could find me. By 6 that evening, I was standing on their front porch with my keys still in my hand, telling myself I was only there to say one thing clearly: I was done paying. The door opened before I knocked. My father stood there in his grey cardigan, his shoulders rounded. He looked at me, then past me, like he was checking whether neighbours were watching. "Come in," he said. Inside, the house was warm. Too warm. The hallway light was on. The kitchen light was on. The living room lamp was on. The washing machine hummed from the laundry room, steady and new, the same machine I had replaced 6 months earlier after Lena texted me a picture of wet clothes on the floor with, "This is an emergency." The fridge was covered with magnets from Lena's trips. The pantry shelves were full. Everything looked comfortable. Everything looked paid for. My mother, Samira, sat at the dining table with the electric bill placed in front of her like evidence in a trial. She did not stand up when I entered. "So," she said, tapping one finger on the paper, "since when do you punish your own parents?" I stayed by the doorway. I didn't punish anyone. You stopped the payment. I stopped my payment. Her eyes narrowed. Listen to yourself. My father pulled out a chair. Sit, Huda. I'm fine standing. That made my mother's mouth tighten. She pushed the bill toward me. This is due, there is a previous balance now. They added a late fee. I looked at the bill, she was right. The amount was higher than usual, but not because of one missed month. There was a balance carried over from before I had stopped paying. I touched the edge of the paper. Why is there a previous balance? My mother blinked. What? This balance started before last month. My father looked down at his hands. That was the first red flag. Then Lena walked in from the kitchen with iced coffee in one hand and her phone in the other. She was wearing my mother's gold bracelet. Not the antique bangles, a newer one, thick and polished, the kind my mother only wore to weddings. Lena leaned against the doorway like this was entertainment. Oh good, she said, the martyr came. I looked at her. You live here, why can't you pay the power bill? She laughed once, sharp and easy. Because I'm saving for my future. You're the one with the stable job. My mother nodded, like Lena had just explained something reasonable. You know your sister is still building her life, she said. I stared at the table, the bill, the bracelet, my father's silence. Then I asked, and what life am I building? No one answered. My mother picked up the bill and waved it lightly. Huda, money should not divide family. You are too sensitive. Every daughter helps her parents. Every daughter, I asked. Lena rolled her eyes. Here we go. I unzipped my bag. My mother's expression changed before I even pulled the paper out. Her eyes moved to my father fast. I placed the folded copy of the will on the table. The room went quiet enough that I could hear the washing machine change cycles. I did not open it yet. I just kept my fingers on top of it and asked, does inheritance divide family? My father's face dropped. Lena stopped drinking her coffee. For half a second she looked scared. Then she covered it with anger. Why were you snooping? That one sentence told me everything. Not what are you talking about? Not. That is private. Not even, you misunderstood. Why were you snooping? They knew exactly what I had found. I opened the will to the page where Lena's name sat alone and turned it toward my mother. The house, the rental unit, the savings, the jewelry. I tapped the page once, all of it. My mother did not look ashamed. She looked annoyed. You were never supposed to see that yet, she said. The words hit harder than the will itself. Yet, like the plan had a timeline. Like I was supposed to keep paying quietly until they were gone, and only then discover that every dollar I had put into this house had been a donation to Lena's future. My father whispered, Samira. But my mother cut him off. We did what made sense. Lena is here. Lena will take care of us. I looked at my sister. She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. Exactly, she said. I'm the one who stayed. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because I had paid for the lights over her head while she called that staying. I folded the will slowly and put it back into my bag. Then Lena can take care of this bill. My mother stood so fast her chair scraped the floor. You cannot just walk away. I looked at her. I already did. I turned toward the front door. Behind me, paper ripped. I looked back. Lena had snatched the electric bill from the table and torn off the payment slip. She held it up between two fingers, smiling now. Fine, she said. Then we'll tell everyone what kind of daughter you really are. By the time I woke up the next morning, my phone looked like it had been dropped into a fire. 14 missed calls. 37 unread messages. 3 voice notes from relatives who never called me unless someone was getting married, sick, or needed money. At the top of the family group chat, Lena had posted a photo of the unpaid electric notice. Under it she wrote, just so everyone knows, Huda stopped helping Mom and Baba over one bill. They're old, they're stressed, but apparently proving a point matters more than family. I sat up in bed, still half asleep, and read the replies. My cousin Nadia wrote, "Seriously, Huda. My aunt sent, your parents gave you life, you owe them more than money." Another cousin added, "This is what happens when girls move out and forget where they came from." I stared at that one. Forget. For 7 years, I had remembered every due date in that house better than anyone living inside it. I remembered the property tax deadline because my father panicked when the notice came. I remembered the insurance renewal because my mother said, "What if something happens to the roof?" I remembered the plumber's invoice because Lena clogged the upstairs bathroom sink and then left for brunch. But in the group chat, I had become the daughter who abandoned her parents over electricity. My phone buzzed again. A voice note from Auntie Farzana appeared. I pressed play. "Huda Beta, this is very disappointing. Your mother is crying, your father is embarrassed. Lena is the only one they're helping them every day. You cannot use money to control people. Pay the bill and apologize." I played it once. Then I deleted it. Not because it did not hurt. Because I knew if I let myself listen again, I would start defending myself to people who had already chosen a story. Then Lena posted again. This time it was a screenshot of the power company account. Since she wants to pretend she never helped willingly here, this is what she stopped paying. For a second I could not breathe. Because the screenshot showed the overdue amount, yes. But beneath it was the payment history. My names. My card. My emails. Again and again. Month after month. Not one bill. Years. The chat paused. Then my cousin Samir wrote, "Wait, why is Huda's name on all these payments?" Another cousin replied, "How long has she been paying that?" The screenshot disappeared. Lena deleted it. But she was too late. I had already saved it. My hands were steady now. That surprised me. I opened my email and searched my parents' address, not their names, the address. The results filled the screen. Electric bill. Water account. Home insurance. Medical billing portal. Repair estimate. Pharmacy receipt. Property tax reminder. I clicked through them one by one, and the pattern sharpened until I could not ignore it. My father had used my email for almost everything. Not just bills I agreed to pay. Accounts, notices, renewals, late warnings. I called him immediately. He answered on the second ring. "Baba," I said, "why is my email connected to your insurance account?" Silence. Then Lena said it was easier. Easier for who? He breathed into the phone. She said she was too busy managing things at home. She said you knew. I closed my eyes. There it was. A new version of the truth. Not the full truth yet, but enough to change the shape of everything. Lena had not just benefited from my help. She had organized it. I went back to the group chat. Messages were still coming in, but they had changed. "Lena, why did you delete it?" "Huda, is that your card?" "Samira, what is going on?" My mother finally replied. "Everyone calm down. Family matters should not be discussed like this." That was when I stopped shaking. I did not type a long explanation. I did not beg anyone to believe me. I uploaded 3 images. First, a screenshot of my payment history. Second, the page from the updated will naming Lena as the sole beneficiary. Third, my text to my mother from the night before. "Ask Lena, it's her house now." Then I wrote, "I have paid household bills for a house I do not live in and will not inherit. I stopped paying when I found out everyone already knew that except me." The chat went dead. No typing bubbles. No voice notes. No one calling me selfish. For the first time since Lena had posted that bill, the silence was not against me. Then my phone rang. It was Uncle Karim. I almost ignored it, expecting another lecture, but something made me answer. His voice was lower than usual. Huda, he said, is this will real? Yes. And you were paying all that? Yes. He exhaled slowly. Lena told us you insisted. My stomach tightened. Insisted. She said you felt guilty for leaving home. She said you wanted to contribute because your parents gave you your education and freedom. She made it sound like this was your choice. I looked at the wall across from my bed. My own sacrifice had been turned into obedience. My silence had been used as evidence that I agreed. Uncle Karim spoke again, quieter this time. Huda, listen to me carefully. What? You need to check your credit report tonight. I did not even turn on the lights. I sat at my kitchen table in the dark, laptop open, Uncle Karim's warning still ringing in my ears. Check your credit report tonight. My password failed twice because my fingers kept hitting the wrong keys. When the report finally loaded, I leaned closer to the screen and scanned every line like I was looking for a wound. At first there was nothing huge. No mortgage. No car loans. No giant balance that would have explained everything. Then I saw 2 store cards I did not recognize. Both opened within the last year. Both connected to my parents' address. Both small enough to look harmless if someone was not paying attention. One balance was $340. The other was $612. Not life-ruining. Not dramatic. But enough. Because I had not opened them. I clicked the first account and called the customer service number with the phone pressed so hard to my ear that my jaw started to ache. Can you confirm the recovery email on the account? I asked. The representative paused. I can verify the domain, ma'am. She read enough of it for me to know. Lena's email. I called the second card. Same thing. Family address. My name. Lena's recovery email. I sat back and stared at the screen. It was not a mistake. It was a test. Small balances, small risks, just enough to see whether I would notice, just enough to see whether my name could still be useful after my money stopped being automatic. For a minute I did not move. Then I opened a blank document and started writing everything down. Dates, accounts, amounts, names, addresses. I froze both cards before Lena could use them again. I filed disputes. I changed passwords on every account connected to my email. Then I searched my inbox for my parents' address again and made a list of every bill, policy and portal with my information attached. Electric, water, insurance, medical billing, repair accounts, property tax reminders. I removed my card from everything I could access. For the accounts that would not let me remove it online, I called and said the same sentence each time. I am not the resident, not the property owner, and I do not authorize future charges. By midnight my voice was flat. By 1 a.m, I had written the email. I sent it to my parents, Lena and Uncle Karim. I will no longer pay expenses for property I do not own, debts I did not authorize, or accounts opened in my name without my consent. Any future attempt to use my name, card, email, or credit without permission will be documented and disputed. I read it once. Then I hit send. My mother replied 9 minutes later. Not with what accounts. Not with are you okay. Not even with we need to talk. Just 4 words. You're embarrassing us. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. That was what mattered to her. Not that my name had been used. Not that Lena's email was tied to accounts I never opened. Not that I had spent years paying bills for a house they had already promised to someone else. The embarrassment. I put the phone face down. But the clues would not stop arranging themselves in my head. The previous balance on the electric bill. Lena's confidence at the dining table. The will calling her responsible. My father refusing to look at me. The deleted screenshot. The gold bracelet on Lena's wrist. None of it felt separate anymore. Maybe my parents had not understood every technical detail. Maybe they had not known about the store cards. But they had understood enough. They knew Lena was getting everything. They knew I was paying. They knew I did not know. And they let that arrangement continue because it was comfortable for them. The next afternoon, the power company sent a shut-off warning. This time, Lena messaged me directly. No laughing emoji. No dramatic Huda. Just, pay this one and we'll talk about the will. I looked at the message while standing outside the clinic, cars moving past me in the rain. For years that would have worked too. A tiny opening. A hint that maybe I could earn fairness if I just helped one more time. I typed back. No. She called immediately. I declined. She called again. I blocked her for the rest of my shift. That night, just after 9, someone buzzed my apartment. I looked through the peephole and saw my father standing in the lobby downstairs, holding a manila folder against his chest. His hair was damp from the rain. His cardigan was buttoned wrong. I went down, but I did not open the lobby door all the way. What are you doing here, Baba? He looked smaller than he had at the dining table. Lena is not answering questions properly, he said. Your mother is panicking. Karim and the others are coming tomorrow. What's in the folder? His grip tightened around it. Things I should have shown you before. My pulse shifted. What things? He looked over his shoulder once, then back at me. Statements, bills, notes. I started keeping track when money began missing. I reached for the folder. Before his hand could release it, headlights swept across the lobby glass. A car door slammed behind him. Lena's voice cut through the rain before I even saw her face. Don't give her anything. My father flinched like Lena's voice had reached his hand before she did. For 1 second, the folder stayed between us. Then I took it. Lena crossed the lobby fast, rain on her jacket, keys still in her hand. Baba, she snapped, what are you doing? He did not answer. That was when I knew he had already chosen to stop protecting the lie, even if he was too weak to say it out loud. I opened the folder right there under the lobby lights. Inside were bank statements, printed bills, credit card notices, and a sheet of lined paper covered in my father's handwriting. Dates, amounts, short notes beside them. Transfer to Lena. Cash withdrawal. Electric unpaid. Insurance notice. Asked Lena, she said Huda knows. My throat tightened around that last line. Lena reached for the papers. Give me that. I stepped back. No. It's not yours. My name is on half of this. Her face changed, not into guilt, into calculation. Fine, she said. You want the truth. Mom and Baba chose me because I stayed. You left. I left the house, I said. I didn't leave the bills. My father closed his eyes. The next day, Uncle Karim and 2 of my aunts came to my parents' house. My mother had invited them because she thought they would shame me into paying before the power shut-off deadline. She sat in the living room with a tissue in her hand, already performing the version of the story where I was cruel and Lena was loyal. Then Uncle Karim opened the folder. He read the first statement aloud. Then the second. Then the third. With every number, Lena's face lost another layer of confidence. The full truth came out in pieces, but it fit perfectly. Lena had convinced my parents to change the will by telling them I was financially secure, unmarried, independent. And too proud to want anything from them, she told them I had made my own life and would be offended if they treated me like I needed inheritance. Then she promised that if the house and estate went to her, she would stay with them and manage their care. My mother nodded at first, trying to defend it. She said she would be here, Mom whispered. Uncle Karim looked at her, and who was paying? No one answered. Because Lena had told me a different story. She told me my parents were struggling. She told me Baba was embarrassed. She told me Mom cried over bills but was too proud to ask. She said, just help until things stabilize. But things never stabilized. They were never meant to. To my parents, I was the daughter who did not need anything and was generously helping. To me, they were parents in trouble. And in the middle, Lena was living in the house, wearing the jewelry, using their accounts, skipping bills, and letting every overdue notice drift toward me. The previous balances made sense now. Money that should have gone to utilities had gone to Lena's car payment, clothes, trips, and personal debt. When a gap appeared, she used my guilt to fill it. My mother tried one last time. Family matters should stay private. Auntie Farzana, the same aunt who had sent me a voice note calling me disappointing, stared at Lena and said, "Private is not the same as stolen." Lena's mouth opened, but nothing useful came out. She blamed stress. She blamed pressure. She blamed being expected to care for everyone. I looked at my father. "When you signed that will," I asked, "did you think of me at all?" He gripped the edge of the folder. His lips moved once. No sound came out. That silence answered better than words. After that, things moved quickly. Lena lost access to my parents' bank accounts. Uncle Karim helped them change passwords and remove her from anything financial. She was forced to repay the unauthorized charges tied to my name, and I filed formal disputes on both store cards. I removed my card from every household account. Electric, water, insurance, medical billing, repairs. If my parents wanted the house running, the bills had to be in their names, paid with their money, or handled by the daughter they had chosen to inherit it. The power did not shut off, but only because my parents set up a payment plan themselves. Not because I rescued them. My parents met with a lawyer a few weeks later to revise their arrangements. My mother asked me to come. I said no. "Your will is your choice," I told her, "but my paycheck is mine." She cried then quietly without an audience. Maybe it was regret. Maybe it was fear. I did not stay long enough to separate the two. The estate did not magically become mine. The house did not suddenly become a prize I wanted. The bangles did not return to my wrist with some perfect apology attached. That was not the victory. The victory was that Lena lost the story that made her look devoted. My mother lost the power to summon me with a bill and a guilt trip. My father lost the comfort of pretending silence was harmless. And I lost the belief that if I gave enough, paid enough, and stayed useful enough, they would finally become fair. 4 months later, my apartment was still small. The stove still only worked on 2 burners, but my credit cards were paid down, my savings account was growing, and Saturday mornings were quiet in a way I had never known. No emergency texts. No surprise invoices. No one calling my boundaries disrespect. One afternoon my mother texted, "Can we talk?" I saw it while making tea. I did not rush. I did not panic. I did not become the daughter on call. I finished pouring the tea, sat by the window and answered when I was ready. Because I never paid another bill for a house that was never meant to be mine.